South Point offers all the types of entertainment you'd expect at a first-class Las Vegas resort. Did you know our 400-seat showroom is one of Las Vegas's top destinations for live entertainment? Enjoy live performances by classic Vegas entertainers, bands, and today's hottest comedians, plus a rock and dance floor. You can also enjoy live entertainment at the Grand View Lounge, where you'll feel all the vibes of old Las Vegas. Enjoy the music, and if you love to laugh, don't miss The Dirty at 12:30, our very own free comedy show, every Friday night at 12:30 a.m. in the Grand View Lounge. The Dirty is 100% free, so arrive early. Go to southpointcasino.com or call the box office at 77136 for today's performances at the showroom and the Grand View Lounge. When you're ready for your favorite cocktail, stop in and unwind at one of our 7 specialty lounges. There's a bar around every corner, because you're in Vegas, baby. South Point Casino has plenty of attractions for the whole family. Catch a movie. Our 16-screen movie theater includes 2 XD Extreme screens for the ultimate in viewing, sound, and luxury. After the show, treat the family to a variety of treats at our old-fashioned ice cream parlor, Kate's Corner. We scoop up a variety of creamy concoctions, including smoothies, hand-dipped cones, milkshakes, malts, sodas, and sundaes. At Kate's, there's something for everyone. And if you've still got time to spare, our bowling center might be right up your alley. Voted Best of Las Vegas, it's a great place for friends and family fun. 64 lanes, a pro shop, snack bar, and arcade. And while the kids are bowling, you can play slots and sip on a drink in the Alley Cat Lounge while overlooking the lanes. For our more serious and professional bowlers, the South Point is also home to a separate tournament bowling plaza.
Welcome in. It's Sports by the Book Football Frenzy on a Friday, January 10th, 2025. We're already 10 days into 2025. Rapid.
Goes by fast.
Move quick.
Everything goes by fast. Believe me. When you're 68 years old, you'll realize that.
Slow down.
Goes by quick.
He's Chris Andrews. On the far side of the desk and the far side of your screen is Vinny Magliulo. I'm Jeff Parles. We're thrilled to be with you as always here on the Friday show. We're getting down to the nitty gritty here, guys. We only have 2 college football games left this year. NFL down to 13 games. It's
great
home
drama.
stretch.
Great drama.
Oh, yeah.
All the way through.
Well, last night, we'll start with last night, and then we'll get into tonight's game in the Dallas area. That was great drama last night.
It was.
And it was quite the snooze fest for about 25 minutes of game action. And then Penn State gets a 10-0 lead, and Riley Leonard goes into the concussion examination. It's like, oh boy, all my Notre Dame tickets are going to go down in flames
and
here.
Their backup's pretty good
here tonight, but
he's pretty good. He's not Riley Leonard, but he's pretty good.
Steve Angeli with a great drive at the end of the half to stabilize the ship. Notre Dame scored out of the half. It was 10-10 through 3 going to the fourth, and then all hell broke loose in that fourth quarter, resulting in a Mitch Jeter 41-yard kick with less than 10 seconds to go to give the Irish the win in their second ever BCS/college football era national title game appearance.
Yeah, listen, there's always blame to go around whenever somebody loses, and I saw a lot of vitriol towards, Allard and Coach Franklin. I will say this, though. At the end of the game, I agreed with Franklin to try to push the ball. And, Allard unfortunately made a terrible pass. But, the kid had 9 interceptions all year and 20-some touchdowns. He was a quarterback that you could definitely rely upon. Here was my thought process when they got the ball with, 40-some seconds, something like that, Jeff?
Yeah.
I remember back to, I think it was 2000 or 2001 when Tom Brady – now, this is before we knew what Tom Brady was going to become. He got the ball back against the Rams. They were a 2-touchdown underdog. And I remember myself and, John Madden and whoever else was saying, well, they should sit on the ball, go into overtime, and take your chance to win it. But Bill Belichick knew the value of ball possession, and he had him throwing the ball. They got into field goal position and won. Now, like I said, it's easy now. We could look back and say, well, he had Tom Brady. This was Tom Brady's first year as a starter. And we didn't know what Tom Brady was going to become. He was a 6th-round draft choice, for God's sake.
199.
Number 199. Okay. So I think the same thing you could say for Franklin. Now listen, he had to trust Allard and not make a bad mistake, and the kid made a bad mistake. You could see he's got to be suicidal today, and I hope he's not. He's just a kid, and, losing a football game, believe me when I tell you, there's a lot worse things in life than losing a football game. But, they made a mistake, and he made a mistake, but I don't think Franklin. I think Franklin coached a really good game. I really do. And Allard had a great year, but he did not play well yesterday at all.
Well, I got to tell you, if you watch that play again, Allard is about to get sacked. He's under tremendous pressure on that throw. A defensive lineman is breaking through and forced his hand. And let's remember this: that was a tremendous interception.
It's a great play.
Yeah,
it's a great play
for the back to get his hands under the ball and keep him under there and cradle about it was a great play on the defensive line side, and then the interception. Here's a problem we have as a society anymore. This is a team that went to the Final Four. Listen, everybody wants to win it, but if you're going to gauge, a team, a player, a coach on one game in the Final Four, then I've got to tell you, and I know that we're becoming more enthralled, and we put more emphasis on, if it's like these questions. Well, how do you measure the season? The season is not a success unless you win the championship.
Exactly.
Only one team can win the championship. Yeah. All right, but you got there. 100.
138, right?
In Division I college football, it's the same thing in college basketball. It's 365 teams, so 364 teams are going to fail this year because they didn't win the NCAA title. So it was a great game. There were plays made by both teams. Look, and I'm not always, the biggest Franklin, supporter, but it was a great defensive play throughout the entire sequence. And again, if just watch it and watch the pressure that Allard is under, he tries to make a play, and the defensive back made a bigger play.
Well, last night was not on Franklin. I thought Allard played a bad game last night, personally.
No
credit the defense. Both quarterbacks.
The two interceptions that got called back, one where the guy held him at the line of scrimmage, good call. The PI where he threw into triple coverage, I thought was a total
That was a bad pass, but I disagree. I think it was the right call.
So it was
the right call by the referees.
Leonard, like you said, Vinny, threw 2 last night, including one that set up the Penn State touchdown, actually gave him the lead at 24-17. Look, you mentioned the Tom Brady thing. I'm going to go the opposite. The year the Ravens won the Super Bowl with Joe Flacco, if you remember, a key portion of what happened, of course, the Jacoby Jones play where the guy in the secondary on Denver just lost his bearings.
And what was it, 4th and 30?
It was 3rd and 20.
3rd and 28.
I had a big teaser that day with Denver.
Yeah, but if you remember, there were 40 seconds left on the clock, and John Fox, with Peyton Manning still at the top of his game, elected to take a knee and went to overtime. Denver didn't survive to tell the tale that day.
John Fox didn't survive either.
Well, yeah, that's also the case too. But it was the right move to go for it. It just Allard made a bad decision. He said after the game he was trying to dirt it, trying to throw it at his feet. But Greg McElroy made the point also, which he was on for. Don't throw over the middle late. Yeah. He threw over the middle late. Defensive back made an amazing play. It was a hell of a game. After everyone was just whining like crazy about all of these games have stunk, blah, 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 blah. We got the Texas-Arizona State epic.
Yeah.
The Notre Dame-Georgia game was pretty darn good, even though it was a 13-point game. And then last night was as good of a college football playoff game that I can remember. I've been pretty darn good all the way around.
I'm sorry, excuse me. The only thing I would say, when Penn State was up 10-0 shortly before the half, and then it became 10-3. I'm sitting there with my wife. I said, they should be up by more than that.
I agree with you, Chris.
10-3. You know what it basically is? It's 1. I mean, if this is baseball, it's 1. and that's what it was.
Well,
they should have been up by more.
It should have been up 14-0.
Yeah,
realistically speaking,
or at least 13-3 or something like. They should have been up by more than one score.
Yeah.
You ask 100 people that are going to criticize this playoff. I have to tell you, I would ask them this. All right, what would you rather have instead? Would you rather not have it? I guess what? You're going to get 105 answers that say no. Okay?
Yeah. So let's go to tonight then, guys. Okay. I mean, of course, last night, somehow the over got there. Notre Dame covered. It didn't matter what number.
I was thinking that, too. Yeah. It's never under till it's over.
Oh, Frank won somehow on that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Frank always wins, doesn't he?
Wow. That was a luck box one, but regardless. And Notre Dame covered all the numbers, right? You guys opened 2.5, so they got they got home on everything.
You can't accuse me of bias when I make my numbers. I mean, seriously, I make my numbers from an objective formula. Like I said, Ed Feng would laugh at me if I said it was a formula, but an objective.
It's a formula.
An objective methodology that I use. But I thought Notre Dame should have been the favorite, and obviously the bettors felt
the other way. Yeah.
But, in the end, I mean, this game could have gone. That was one of those games where I don't care who you had. You didn't have the right side. You didn't have the wrong side. You might cash a ticket. You might be ripping it up. But it's one of those games that could have gone either way.
When it was pick, it was the right number.
Pick was the right number, yeah.
But I also think what contributed to Penn State eventually closing as the favorite in the game was the flu bug, right? You have to remember, we opened at 2.5. It was 2.5 the better part of the week. It didn't get off. It didn't move till yesterday morning or the other night when it started.
Thursday night, right?
Yeah, I think Thursday night.
Or excuse me, Wednesday night
into a game day, and it didn't really turn Penn State won until late yesterday afternoon, and that again, if the flu bug word doesn't get out, Notre Dame closes the favorite in this game.
Yeah,
I think you're right. Yeah,
would have been Notre Dame would have covered all of them, covered all the numbers regardless. Yeah. All right, let's go to tonight.
Okay.
Ohio State, Texas. Winner gets Notre Dame in Atlanta a week from next Monday. Chris, this has been a fun toggler all over the place. Mm-hmm. 6 open to 6.5, back to 6, to 6.5, to 6, down to 5.5. Now it's 6. But the bigger movement has actually been on that total from 54 all the way below a key number of 52 to 51.5 right now on this total tonight down there at the Jerry Dome with Ohio State, of course, favored in this one.
Yeah, we have a lot of money line parlays going to the favorite, a lot of teasers going to the favorite. And yesterday, all the teasers were live. Whether you bet either dog, favorite, whatever you want to.
Whatever number you got,
whatever number you got, and then the total, too. A lot of people teasing the totals when you get down this few of options. We got a lot of teasers right now. We need Texas outright pretty good. I think we got a pretty good chance. When I made my numbers, my numbers actually came to 5. But I opened 6 because I felt that people would bet Ohio State. They've just looked so good. So I opened at 6. I still think, and we're still at 6. So I think point spread wise, you could see we're really pretty even on the game. But I got a lot of money line, a lot of parlays. I think I'm up to. I went to 280 plus 240 to finally get some money back on Texas. They took the 280. They took the 240. They took the 230. And is that current right now? I'm 260, 220. Yeah, I think that's current. Yeah. Yep. So I did get some money back on the dog, but I still need Texas outright.
Chris brings up an important point about what maybe it came to 5, but he opened 6 and here's what's going to impact the next number, right? How does this game play out tonight? Okay, you could sit there right now and say, okay, our power ratings have this, right? If Ohio State wins, here's what the power rating says against Notre Dame. Here's what it says against Texas. But remember, last night came down to the last play of the game, right? When you think about it, right? And Notre Dame wins by a field goal. If Ohio State blows out Texas tonight, it's going to impact the number beyond the pure power rating on a neutral field. The same thing if Texas blows out. This is a close game too. It's going to be a lower points. But so you have to remember that what Chris is talking about too is how good Ohio State. Recency bias is what's built in. What has to be considered in a number because that's what folks are going to react to, especially when you first put the number up. We see it every year with the NFC and AFC title game.
See with the Super Bowl too.
That's what I'm saying. To put the Super Bowl number up. So so people are saying, okay, Vinny, what do you make Ohio State against Notre Dame? Right now, it's probably from a pure power rating standpoint, it's not even a field. It's probably 2.5, 2.5. Okay, Texas, Notre Dame is 2 over Tech, 2.5 over Texas on my pure power rating. Chrissy's, I haven't even, him and I haven't even talked about it yet. However, if you see a blowout tonight, it's going to impact it one way. If it's a close game like last night's game, it's certainly going to impact it as well.
There are some hypothetical numbers out there already. Do you want me to say them or do you want to hold up?
Yeah, because I don't mind that because I go by my power rating.
Okay, so the hypothetical numbers. This is from DraftKings, and
the guy that threw the guy out that hit the parlay. Did you see that?
I didn't see that. No.
Go to my Twitter.
I'll check that out later.
Go to my timeline.
I'll check that out later. I don't know. Whatever. I'm sure my stock price went down.
By the way, that wasn't a hypothetical toss either.
So the hypothetical numbers. By the way, this is actually a hypothetical SEC game, so the SEC team's going to win. That's how that works, right?
Okay.
DK has it right now with Texas as a 3-point favorite in a hypothetical against Notre Dame.
Okay.
Vinny, you're going to enjoy this one. There's the Buckeyes at 9.5 against Notre Dame.
Okay.
Which would be a automatic take. I might actually have to figure out how to get something.
You might want to take that now. Yeah.
I mean that's wildly high.
Let me. I really.
Who's got a cousin in Phoenix?
I glanced at it quickly. I think I would have going into tonight. God, I'm trying to think. I think I would have Texas, I want to say 3
against Notre Dame
over Notre Dame.
So right in line with that.
Yeah, and Ohio State about 7.
Okay,
so 7.5 maybe even.
Depends on what happened, right?
I really like I said, even though my numbers came to 5, I kind of like Ohio State tonight.
I'm with you, Chris.
But you know, when you say that, right? When I say those numbers, right, and obviously they're different than Chris's. Now you take in other things into consideration too, right? How did Notre Dame come out of that game health-wise?
Well, we'll find out. But they were banged up,
let's face it. They were banged up. They were banged up going into the game. Now, how does Ohio State and/or Texas come out of tonight's game as well, too? So, the folks that are out. That's why a lot of times, it's having this discussion. You try to, it's not hedging. It's trying to explain the thought process too. And this is what we do during the NCAA tournament. We don't come up with the exact same number. Okay, and that's a good. And what exactly? What then? You're just painting numbers, right? So there's reasons for it, and then you say, well, this is the pure power rating on a neutral field. There's other factors that come into account, some which we already talked about, injuries and what transpired in the 2 previous games going in, and what's fresh in people's minds. So hope that. It makes it easier for folks.
By the way, I
mentioned
on our side of the counter. And if you're a serious handicapper out there, you should get Ed Feng's newsletter. But by the way, he mentioned me in this because he asked me about these games, and I told him I tossed the Michigan game against Ohio State. I think I've been vindicated because Ohio State's come out with a vengeance after that, whatever happened there. But the one guy wrote to Ed and saying, how could he? And I haven't answered him, but I felt like saying, do you toss the Northern Illinois game against Notre Dame? Or are you going to tell me Notre Dame is a middle-of-the-road MAC team? Is that what you're going to tell me based on that one? You just have to toss it.
Well,
you have to toss it because we already said there'd be 40. There'd be 40. There'd be 42
now. Yeah.
I mean, it's sometimes crazy. It's sports. Crazy things happen.
Crazy thing, especially in college football, too.
Yeah, you're talking about
18 to 22-year-old. Well, maybe up to 26 now, but that's a different discussion.
One kid yesterday was in his 6th year.
Pavia could end up playing 14 years in college when it's all done.
But with the NIL, I don't blame him.
I think we have some eligibility left.
I know McCormick might, for sure. But it's also too. You just to go back actually to the point on the format real quick. Like in the old format, Ohio State's not here. And they're the favorites to win it all right now.
Sure.
Notre Dame's probably not in this thing, even at 11-1 with that loss to Northern Illinois.
Exactly. Yeah.
And either Penn State or Texas might even be at home in the old format. Like
I think they probably would be.
I mean,
Oregon would have been in.
Oregon and Georgia would have been there.
They'd have been in.
And then
after that, I don't know. Then we'd be arguing about
based off the rankings, it would have been Texas and Penn State. But I mean, they would have been arguing for a long time.
I'm a Penn State fan. Yeah. I've been said it on the show. They've been overrated all year. They
were so close to the final though.
Well, they were, but we talked about it on this show that Franklin has a way of, number one, I think he wants to cover numbers. And that's number one.
Does.
And number two, like to his benefit in this argument, he would bring his players in and let them play second and third stringers. All right, I got to make a call there to try to get a hold of him.
Go ahead. We'll take a quick break while Chris is making his call. When we get back, we're going to go over to the NFL. I'm pointing at the wrong camera. That's okay. Now I'm pointing at the right one. When we get back, NFL Wild Card Weekend. We break it down when we get back. Sports by the Book Football Frenzy.
We have 11 amazing restaurants featuring a wide variety for every price range and appetite. South Point's Garden Buffet has something for everyone at unbeatable prices. Or, if hunger strikes in the middle of the night, join us at Coronado Cafe. The American menu offers breakfast, lunch, or dinner 24 hours a day, plus a Chinese kitchen for authentic Chinese dishes from 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. From steak and eggs to wonton soup, it's fast and friendly service 24/7. When you need a quick pick-me-up, you can find it at our state-of-the-art Starbucks just inside the main South Point entrance. Order ahead with the Starbucks app for easy mobile order pickups. Or enjoy your favorites in the relaxing dining area anytime, day or night. If you love Mexican food, Baja Miguel's has all of your south-of-the-border favorites. There are dozens of classics to choose from, like fajitas, ceviche, chimichangas, tacos, and more. And for spirit lovers, Baja's colorful non-smoking tequila bar is right outside. Once you've satisfied your hunger, get ready for more of the hottest casino games in Vegas. Our 24-hour, 30-table non-smoking poker room proudly hosts all the most popular poker games with a variety of betting limits. Visit the poker room for a schedule of daily tournaments. Whether you're going to hold them or fold them, the best place for poker is at South Point Casino. You'll notice that our craps tables are usually the loudest in the casino. If you've never played, join one of our free craps lessons to find out what makes this game so exciting. Check with the craps dealer for schedules and give it a roll. Bingo is also an exciting way to spend your time. We offer 7 sessions of bingo every day. Bingo! And each session includes a cash ball jackpot, 12 bingo games, a progressive double action game, and a $10,000 bonus coverall. Electronic units are available. If you haven't played bingo with us, give it a try today. Guests can also get in on the action at our one-of-a-kind race and sports books. 2 separate rooms designed to maximize your experience and comfort. Our sports book, with over 400 seats, puts you right in the middle of the action, 24 hours a day. The friendly ticket writers are happy to help, and it's conveniently located next to the famous Del Mar Deli, where you'll find supersized portions of delicious deli items like roast beef, pastrami, and Reuben sandwiches, or soups, salads, and pizza. Plus spectacular desserts fit for a king. And right next door is the race book. Over 150 seats, each with its own TV screen. There are 16 interactive player terminals, so you can bet right from your seat.
We're back in at Sports by the Book here. Football Frenzy, Jeff Parles. Alongside me, Chris Andrews, Vinny Magliulo, Jimmy Vaccaro is here as well. I'll let you guys break what just happened behind us at the counter here, guys.
Okay, guy come in. Our limit's 20,000, but we always say if you want more, so he bet the 20. We didn't move the number. Can I bet it again? Knock yourself out. He bet 20,000 on Texas +6. Didn't move the number. Bet another 20,000 on Texas +6, and we are now at 5.5.
And that's what it's like when you have someone who understands the racket, like Chris does. Like you just tell him, this is the way it is. If he would have taken then wanted the 5.5 again, you wouldn't have given it to him. But like you're betting a solid number that he bet before, hasn't changed. So, and you give the rules to everybody. You know, if it doesn't cash in another 5 minutes, you get a chance, he can do it again.
Yeah, and that was Nick Simich, by the way, at the controls back there, and he handled it perfectly. That's the way to do it.
Speaking, here we go. We got to come on in.
Come on in.
Who's that big Nick?
Yeah.
Nick, come in.
Come on in. We'll share a microphone like Lennon and McCartney. Come on right in.
I don't know.
Okay, thanks.
I don't know. I might get hip checked out of this spot. Wait a second. Wait a minute. Come here, Nick.
Hey, Nick.
Come here. Get Nick on. Show Nick. Come on, Nick. Look at this. I'm going to get squeezed. Look at this. I'm going to get squeezed out of here.
You're cutting into his lunchtime.
I just complimented you. I said, it took the 6. You didn't move it. The guy bet won another 6. Yeah. Knock yourself out. The guy bet it again. So we got the two tickets, actually, for 20 each.
You got it.
Yeah. Okay. Good job.
Thank you.
Nick Simich, ladies and gentlemen. He might have just bet another 40.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh, man.
So
there you go. So
there you go.
20 dimes.
Jimmy, 220 dimes.
40 dimes.
40 dimes. Jimmy will put it on his Twitter after, as soon as we're done here.
You know, it's like everything else that we do. Obviously, if you just run your book like you're supposed to, and obviously Chris is right at the top of the list there, like we're putting a guy for 40,000. That's not too bad we're not the biggest sports book. So I would say that, but as long as he follows the rules, you can do what you want to do.
Yeah, I know some of these guys, but they have books all over the country. We have us, the Rampart, and we got 2 little places in Mesquite. It's not a bad bet.
And you're fair. I mean, that's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Speaking of fair and things have changed, I'll give you this because it's been happening in the business that we're in. Like people sit and say, oh, you can't change, you can't do this, you're not giving me this, you should change this, whatever. And that's easier for them because it's a different type of business. But we are still a business, and we make adjustments because that's what we have to do. People forget out there, just to start a book up, just to pay for what it costs, is like you must make adjustments, everywhere that you have. And Chris knows that because he's in these meetings every day. But what I'm getting to tell you is like there's a thing that like was changed drastically in the last 15, 20 years with betting teasers. Now, if you would say, give me a teaser and it's 19, if it's 30 years ago, it's just usually some wise guy out there, but he's going to say, oh, I'm not going to bet anything that has to do 2 things. You have to win two sides. And so the teaser was invented. And then all of a sudden, I think the 7-point teaser might have been minus a dime, way back when we were kids.
It was minus 120.
Was it 20?
It was even, minus a dime, minus 20.
Yeah.
So what it was like way back when, because the so-called wise guys would say that's a rank sucker bet. Right. You can't bet this. You have to change your way that you're doing business. The 7-point teasers now are like sky high. We keep changing it because let's call it like it is. There's a weekend coming up here now with Ohio State right now beating the leading force. Now we grabbed a little bit yesterday, but the carryover like with Ohio State is like, I would say it's the ticket count on the teasers is about 7-3, something like that. Like
we're pretty vulnerable on the
and you
Ohio
have
State
to
teasers.
obviously you want to give away the teasers, but like you want to say, and don't be worried about a bookmaker. But it's like we just can't give the money away too. And these teasers, like they're strong. And the NFL teasers are just really strong, and the college too.
Well, the college in the right situations, like Jeff. We crucified Jeff that first round of the playoffs.
I didn't need to tease him, Chris.
You didn't need him. You're better off betting parlays.
Yeah.
But, of course, we don't know that before the game. Yeah. But I think it's some of these, if college football, like on a Saturday in October, it's not formful. Like we say, a 6-point favorite loses, bunches of them lose every week.
Well, I think to Chris and Jimmy's points, here's the best illustration of not only the popularity, but frankly, the success of them is the fact that they're changed. When I said even minus a dime, minus 20. That's 6, 6.5, and 7.
Yep.
Now 7-point teasers here still $1.50. Of course, he hasn't raised them in the 8 years he's been here. Okay,
I will next year.
Which I said the first 8, but for the most part, now they're 8 to 5.
Right.
I had to throw the dice reference in. That's $1.60 for you.
Very good.
Dice aficionados out there. But that's what Jimmy's talking about now, because when you see the VIG go up, that tells you the success of that particular type of wager.
And remember also, like the people, and even the people who are just starting out understanding what a teaser is, understanding what the parlay payouts are here, even those people are saying, I'm not going to take plus 9.5 on my teaser. If they don't get a plus 10 on there, they're going to pass on it, because obviously 10 is a strong number. So the same thing, you do that. So everybody is like obviously changing around, and it's just again, don't feel bad for us, but we don't feel bad for you if we have to change a number, because it's quite different than it once was. So. We're here, and Chris, you have to fade all that aggravation, so that's what it's all about.
I know.
Then you see 40,000 right in front of you.
Make sure you put these on Twitter.
Okay. All right. I'll see you guys going to Twitter.
All right.
Perfect. Thank you, Jimmy.
Have Tom put them on Twitter. Right, Jimmy?
Back to the social media desk.
Who started this Twitter stuff?
I thought it was
Jack
you.
Dorsey.
Wow, that's your guy.
Take the tickets. Take the tickets, Jimmy. Take the tickets.
Yeah. Don't laugh at me.
I'm not. I'm just smiling here, Jimmy. I'm taking it all in.
These your tickets?
I wish they were.
Yeah, right.
Well, actually, I don't know if I wish they were. I don't know if I like that side. I don't know if I like that side.
I don't mind rooting for Ohio State tonight. Let's put it that way.
Oh, all right. Let's go to the NFL. We got about a half hour to go here. Of course, there's a giant football game 40 minutes after the show. We got to get you guys.
Nick Semich back there. He's got the ball.
He's got it controlled.
Okay.
But I want to just start with. We'll get into the game itself in a second. But of course, with the horrible wildfires ravaging the Los Angeles area, of course, all of our thoughts with everyone impacted.
Pray for those folks.
In the greater LA area. That game has been moved from SoFi Stadium in Inglewood to Glendale, Arizona State Farm Stadium, the home of the Cardinals usually. So, Chris, every book has different rules. How do you guys handle the site change, even with the game being played at the same time?
Our rules state that they must go on the date and site specified. And I know some people are going to have a beef, and I understand that. But really, this protects the bettors. I mean, in my eyes. I mean, not that the Rams have a gigantic home field advantage at SoFi, but they do have some.
Or sleeping in their own beds.
Yeah,
they're not traveling.
I mean, I've actually raised them this year to about a 2-point advantage. They actually have a little bit of a home field, and you could see that reflected in the number. I think we were at pick. Then when we moved it to 2 when the new game was announced. We moved it to 2. Then we're up to 2.5. They laid the 2 on us. The other thing I would remind people. And I was on a conference call earlier there's some guys from LA on the call. Now we had Dave Damashek on the show too. Now he's living in the Valley, so a little bit away from it. But these guys, I mean, we're talking about, some of these guys might be living in Pacific Palisades. And if you ever, I saw JJ Redick lost his home. There's a lot of guys people, you would know. Yeah. A lot. So probably, the second string linebacker, he's not living in Pacific Palisades, but some of these guys might be. Sure. I haven't heard who does and who doesn't, but if you've been to the LA area, I think it's the most beautiful part of LA. Well, at least it was 3 days ago, but I think that you're going to have a lot of people that may be associated with the Rams that have homes there, and listen, they're just human, and they're going to be worried about, where their kids are going to school. Yep. And what did they lose in the house? So I mean, I feel bad for the Ram players because they got to have a lot of things on their mind right now besides winning a playoff game, which is of course monstrous.
It goes for both LA teams this week too.
Yeah, right,
the Chargers as well.
Right.
I mean, of course that game is always in Houston, but I mean, you have two teams dealing with just the unimaginable this week with what's gone on in the LA area.
Look, I know it's our job. Yeah. It's football games.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it. Right? Yeah. Just focus on the people.
Well, even like I said, when Aller, kid, there's a lot worse things than losing a football game. Trust
100%, me. 100%. No artful way to segue,
but
I do want to, before we go into the exact games, I have endless possibilities in front of me of the exactas for the NFL playoffs, who ends up lifting the Lombardi over who they defeat.
Yeah.
All possibilities available. As short as the Chiefs over the Lions is the short shot at 7-1, right, Chris?
I would think so.
That makes sense. And then all the way down to
what's the Lions over the Chiefs?
Lions over the Chiefs is 15-2.
15-2.
Horse racing number plus 750. So there we go.
7.5, yeah.
No, so there. I'm just trying to find the longest number on here.
There's some long ones.
You want the Commanders over? You want the Commanders over the Steelers, or the Steelers over the Commanders for 2001?
There you go.
Well, you don't have $5 in your pocket you could put on that?
Well, I can go bet 2, right? That's the minimum.
You bet 2 at the kiosk.
Yeah, $2. But boy, there are a lot of options. Got to get those in before the first game starts on Saturday.
You got to go before 1:30 tomorrow, right?
But you'll adjust them too, Chris, as the playoffs
after
go,
the first
right?
weekend, yeah sure.
Mm-hmm.
And then we have the highest scoring team of the weekend as well. Vinny, I know you're heartbroken that we don't do first team to score anymore because the games are not at the same time.
Thank God.
I know you're heartbroken over that.
Well, but somebody might not realize why.
Yeah, well, it's because, again,
it's the time of the game.
The time of the game, not the time of day.
Not the time of day.
You could actually, Chris, if you really wanted to. You technically could do it.
But see, you know what I like about that is like it's instant gratification.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, 5 minutes after kickoff.
All right, good. I'm paying some tickets. Bills, by the way, favored to be the highest scoring team this week at plus 375.
Yeah.
Then Baltimore and Tampa at 6-1. Philadelphia and Minnesota, the only other single digits odds. Long shot is the Steelers.
Ouch.
At 30-1. See, there's no
What's
buy.
Washington? What's Washington?
Commanders are 10-1. That's the one I would kind of look at.
Yeah. I mean, I'm the one making the numbers. You know, I mean, 10-1 isn't great, but you got a chance there.
Yeah, no, I think you do. By the way, let's get into these games here, guys. Let's start with a game that you moved back to 3. Oh, boy.
We just took another big whack before I came on the air.
Vinny's favorite toggler. 3, 2.5. 3, 2.5. 3, 2.5. 3.
He loves
with
it.
The Chargers at the Texans, the only... Well, now that the last game is now a neutral site game, the only pure home underdog this weekend is Houston with a 43.5 to 42.5. Chris, we've talked about the Texans. They have dropped off the cliff when it comes to your power ratings over the last month plus.
Oh, they're playing horribly. A lot of it is injuries. I think guys maybe have figured out C.J. Stroud at least a little bit. Now it's going to be up to him and D'Amico Ryans next year to see if they can counteract the defensive adjustments made upon them. I kind of think they will be able to. I really think the injuries had a lot to do with the drop off in the Texans play. But we just talked about it. The Chargers. I mean, what are these guys? They're worried about their families back at home and, their wives and their children and their homes and everything else, so that may impact some a little bit too. I made this game 3. They took the 3 originally because we were the only 3 flat, and then we were the only 2.5 flat. Yeah. So it's just, you live by the sword, you die by the sword. But I think 3 is a good number. I have no real opinion. Of course, I want to stay away from that 3, but I don't have a strong opinion on the game.
Would that just mean, and correct me if I'm wrong, would that mean more likely than not a Houston outright victory would be a really good result for you guys? If they
at this point, it would. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, again,
but we're still 24 hours away.
Oh, no, I mean, 22 hours from kicking. By the way, I've made this joke plenty already. Houston Texans have now been in the playoffs 8 separate times. The Houston Texans will play in this exact 4:30 Eastern, 1:30 Pacific slot on Saturday for the 8th time.
It's unbelievable.
It is automatic. If they're in the playoffs, they're playing the first game of the postseason. I think
you said it 2 weeks ago.
Oh, I was all over it months ago, and when I was trying to figure out what the schedule is going to be, I'm like, might not be the case. They might want it for Monday night, but nope, they had to do it. They put it in this slot.
Well, you got the best red zone defense in the Chargers, right?
They're the best road defense in the NFL.
As a road team, I don't think they've given up more than 20 points on the road this year.
I'll double check that, but that sounds correct.
Maybe the best edge rushing combination too, with Bosa and Khalil Mack. So
Khalil Mack's had a hell of a career. You know that?
No doubt about it. And when he went from the Bears to the Raiders, or the Raiders to the Bears to the Chargers. Yep. But he gets overshadowed by Bosa, but he makes Bosa better. Let's face it.
Mac can still play. By the way, the Chargers have allowed 20 even twice on the road.
No more than
That's
20.
The most.
One of them was last week, naturally, against the Raiders, and the other one was against the Pittsburgh Steelers, as we all expected.
Can't stop that offense.
There you go. Yeah, they've not allowed more than 20. 20 is the max they've allowed away from home this year, which is very interesting because at home they've given up a 27, given up a 40, given up they've given up points at home. Yeah, they've not really given up points away from SoFi Stadium, just hammering home that 0 home field advantage for the LA Chargers this year. By the way, I laid 2.5. Just saying. 2.5. Yeah.
Gives you joy too, doesn't it?
You know what, Vinny?
Yeah, 3 would be just fine with you.
Vinny, it would be fine for me.
Yeah, boy.
For you guys, I hope it lands 7. Let's just go with that.
You know what?
I hope it lands 7.
He would feel the same way even if he didn't have that bet. I know it.
Let's go to another toggler. Not a traditional toggler, but another one that's off of a key number now. Steelers on the road in Baltimore. This is Saturday night. Amazon Prime, baby. Let's go. For this one, or just right behind us at the South Point. You don't have to deal with streaming.
South Point Prime.
If you want to do that.
Come to the South Point.
Yeah, just do South Point Prime instead.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about all that stuff. We got hot dogs. You can get $1.50.
You can get a nice pastrami sandwich from the Del Mar. You can have a good time here on a Saturday night. Open 9, up to 10, back to 9.5. 44 is the total, 46-44 on the total. Biggest thing in this game is Zay Flowers isn't going to play.
Right. Yeah.
That's the biggest thing in this game, regardless of either side. Yeah, Chris, for at least for this show, you're the resident Pittsburgh guy. This has been a bad month for the Steelers, to put it nicely. The competition got ratcheted up. They lose all 4 games. It's looked pretty ugly on offense in those 4 games, but you get a crack at Baltimore with Mike Tomlin as an underdog in a scenario where there is, at this point, the Steelers playing a house money with the Ravens in championship or bust. I see 9.5. I see over $4 on the money line, and I'm like, boy, it kind of feels like I should be doing a little bit of sprinkling, even with how badly this last matchup went for Pittsburgh. But that game really flipped on the Russell Wilson pick 6 more so than anything.
Right. They've played the Ravens tough for 8 years.
Yeah.
And sometimes have not had the better team. Often has not had the better team. Lamar Jackson has not had a lot of success against the Steelers. And, listen, I think they're live. But I do have to say, I've talked to a lot of friends, and I retweeted something to Josh Yohe, friend of the show, at least the Frank show. Josh Yohe, he said he went shopping the other day, and nobody's dressed in their black and gold. He says, I go in May, they're all dressed in Steeler paraphernalia. The whole city right now is not very excited about the Steelers. Now, it is on the road, of course, so you don't need that rabid Steeler crowd, but they'll travel. They always do. Baltimore is 4 hours away, not that bad. But even, a lot of my friends, and I'm texting with them virtually every day, they're just not excited about this game. There's just a bad taste in our mouths about this Steeler team right now, the way they've faltered, and we see the team in a mediocrity spiral, I guess you could say, because we're always good enough to not draft the quarterback that we've needed since Roethlisberger started showing his age, about 5, even before he retired. And they kind of don't see a way out of it right now. So anyway, I'm not crazy. I made the game 10 myself. So we opened 9. They laid me 9. They laid me 9.5. I went to 10. They have taken to 10, and I'm at 9.5 right now. Is that correct?
You're at 9.5.
9.5. Yeah. So we have toggled a little bit, but I think gun to my head, I'd probably take the Ravens. I just think. I made a number 10. That's cutting it pretty close, but that's what I think the number should have been.
Obviously 2 teams that are familiar with each other. It's the only playoff game where division rivals are playing each other in the first round. Here's what's, Chris talked about, and you did too, Jeff, about the Steeler offense struggling. what compounds that too is, and what contributes to the number is, when you look at the Ravens' defense in the past month and a half, it's been much better because that was their Achilles heel for a good part of the season. So, I think, look, Steelers are going to have to value the ball. It can't, and they certainly can't settle for field goals, which is how they won the game in Pittsburgh. So that's their defense. It always shows up. I think it's they're going to have to score and and take care of the ball on offense.
I got to say they can't fall behind here.
Yeah,
they've got to come out and play well and score early.
Yeah.
If they fall behind, I think they're in a lot of trouble.
Chasing the game is not their forte.
I think that the last point you guys made is pretty important here. Yeah. If this is like 14-0 Baltimore quick, forget it, lights out, see you later. This game needs to be like 6-3 at halftime or 7-6, something in that pocket where it's like, all right, well, you know what? Yeah. Our offense still may not have been great, but you know what? Our defense showed up here in this game if you're Pittsburgh. Something in that pocket. And I guess that kind of this is a correlated one to me also. If you like the Ravens, I think you like the over, and the over seems pretty reasonable. If you like Pittsburgh, I think the only way Pittsburgh can realistically stay in this game is one of these classic Ravens-Steeler bludgeonings where everyone's just beating the crap out of each other for 60 minutes.
By the way, let me also mention the Ravens' defense over the last maybe 6 weeks, something like that. They've gotten healthy. They are much better.
Yes.
You look at the first 2/3 of the season, the Ravens' defense really was terrible. I mean, you were sitting there saying, what happened to this team, which has been known as a defensive team probably for 15, 20 years, going back to all the way back when Trent Dilfer was the quarterback. They've been known for their defense, but their defense was absolutely horrible. I'd say about the first 2/3 of the season. But if you look at the last 4 or 5, maybe even 6 weeks, that defense has come along. And I think a lot of it had to do with their health. Maybe they just kind of figured out what they're doing defensively. But take that into consideration. Their defense has been extra strong. And I'll tell you what, right now, I have a pretty decent price on them to win the AFC and the Super Bowl because I do very well with them. And it pains me to say, believe me, I do not like this team, and I hate to root for them in any way, shape, or form. But I think right now you might get some decent value betting on them because I think this is a team that may be peaking right now, and health-wise and a lot of other things going their way.
Ravens plus 3.25 and 13-2 respectively for the conference and Super Bowl at South Point.
Let's go to Sunday, guys. Bills, Broncos. Chris, this has been one that has not moved all week long on the side. Stuck at 9 with Buffalo in the early game on Sunday. That total technically moved to 47, back to 47.5. So if someone picked up the sheet over in the corner, they actually are seeing the exact numbers right now. I don't know what to do with this game. And obviously, with the way that the betting attention has been, this has been one where the bettors have been, I don't want to say lackadaisical because that's not fair, but they've been a little less interested in this game in comparison to the other games.
They are, and sometimes movement, it's like action creates action. Yeah. We haven't had any movement here. I got to say, I don't always like favorites, but this may not be the worst spot for a favorite because I think if you look at Denver, and I think, we make that joke, you're not allowed to say anything good about Coach Payton, but I think you can say a lot of good about him, particularly how he's handled the offense. And I think the defense has come up strong against teams that they're supposed to come up strong against, but they haven't played that well against top-notch teams, particularly top-notch offenses. And I think they're in a little bit of trouble here. I do kind of like Buffalo in this spot. As long as you're laying under that 10 and, 9, I mean, listen, 9, a lot of times you could never have a chance to win the game and cover a 9-point spread in the NFL. I know that can happen. But I do think that this is a decent spot to bet the favorite on Buffalo. I just think they have that much class going for them. And I don't think that Denver defense can stop an offense of this quality.
One thing about the Bills, along with the Lions, who obviously are off this week as the number 1 seed in the NFC, they're never out of a game because of their offense. The way they can score and quickly and in bunches. The Broncos with a great defense, but here's one thing about that defense. They blitz a lot, right? And if you're going to blitz against Allen, I can tell you right now, he thrives on that. Josh Allen is an absolute assassin when it comes to teams blitzing. They probably utilizing not only his receivers but his backs as well. So this might play right into the Bills' hands. I know it's 9, and we haven't moved yet, but I'll tell you right now, there'll be support for the Bills here.
I'm fascinated to see how Denver looks in this game. First time in the playoffs since 2015. Rookie quarterback.
Yeah.
A very difficult place to play, to put it politely. I would not shock me. Look, you said it though. 9-point games in the 9-point spreads in the NFL get covered all the time in non-competitive games.
And they do.
It happens. It wouldn't shock me though, like you both said, where Josh Allen comes out, especially after today, where the All-Pros were released and Lamar Jackson was the first team All-Pro quarterback, which might be an indication that Jackson might be winning his 3rd MVP, and Allen still might be waiting for that one in the trophy case. Again, I'm staying off. I want to see what the market does with this, and also this might be an in-game game as well.
It's going to be a big teaser
as well.
I can tell you that one.
Well, both ways, right?
Well,
especially Buffalo way.
Mostly
Buffalo way.
You mentioned the MVP, and I was thinking over the weekend, who would I vote for? Who would I vote? And as soon as I'd say one, I'd have buyer's remorse and want the other one.
It's so close.
I do think Lamar's had a slightly better year.
It is. I think it's going to be they now do where they count up all the first, second place, third votes. Remember, up until a few years, I think it was even last year, they did you get one vote. You don't get to rank them out.
It'd be really hard, but I think I would take Lamar. Probably my bias against Baltimore is reflecting me. But I think if you look at the numbers, he's had a slightly better year than Allen. But Allen's been fantastic.
It's so close. I think if I had a ballot, I go Allen 1, Lamar 2, Burrow 3. You'd be super close.
It's hard to argue with you.
It's really so close. Yeah. So, all right, real quick, we're going to check in with the chat before we get to the NFC side. Dean Hilt's in there. By the way, Dean Hilt with a basketball play on Football Frenzy. That's a first. UCLA tonight has a dog against Maryland. Alex, not our Alex, right? That's correct. Not our Alex. Likes Ohio State, Notre Dame. John K85's in there. Mini Dar. Broncos over Lions. I might even book that for you, Mini Dar. 55-1 on that. I'm not. Sorry.
Show 'em the
straight
cash.
there from the record. On that one. Jerry's in there. Vince is in there. Everyone's in there on a Friday here. Of course, as well. We'll get to the note on the Rams in a little bit as well. All right, let's go to the Eagles and the Packers. Jalen Hurts, welcome back.
Yeah.
2 weeks off. See you later. Because of the concussion protocol, he's back. He practiced. He's cleared. He's good. Chris, you're right now at 5 on this game. You've never been higher than that. That's the high water mark you guys have had. I saw some 5.5s in the market. Nothing more high than that. You opened 4. 46 was the initial total. Now 45.5. Wind could play a role in this game in Philadelphia, but this is a heavy duty matchup for a 2-7 game with two teams that had Super Bowl aspirations coming into the year, and quite frankly, even with Green Bay as the 7, still very easily could have Super Bowl aspirations here.
Well, most people know Green Bay's lost a bunch of games, but only to the best competition in the league.
Well, do you include the Bears in that?
The best Week 18 competition.
McCormick.
The best Week 18 competition.
You're on very thin ice, McCormick. Yeah. Up until last week. I'm tossing that game too.
I'm good with that.
Yeah, you're on some thin ice too, my friend.
Man, what's the matter with you guys?
No respect. It's not fun. You're not allowed to make fun of old people.
That was one of the funniest moments we've had in a while, actually. But
all right, I'll give you credit.
But this is
January and the ice is melting.
In all honesty, I mean, Vinny, this is a hell of a game, though. I mean,
it is. I mean, you've got the Eagles who have built this team, and Barkley's been a huge difference. Talk about an MVP candidate. He's going to get some votes, I'm sure. Packers the youngest team in the league, and they just continue to get better. This is where we started to see them really assert themselves. They had a good second half last year, and they got to the playoffs. We saw that impressive win against the Cowboys, and they almost pulled off the upset in San Francisco against the Niners. So here they come in again, and that's why I think when you look at this number, you would think that it would be higher, right? Considering it's the 3 or the 2-7 matchup, but it's about the strength of the teams. It's about the number, and now that said, this is a game where I think you'll see support teaser-wise on both teams, right? I mean, more so, like Chris pointed out in the Bills game, certainly more on the favorite. But this one, overall, there'll be some support. Carryover, it's right in the middle on Saturday. But, yeah, I mean, look, Eagles probably overall more weapons, more balance, especially with what Barkley gives them. Right, so the key is for the Packers is going to be, Jordan Love just has to protect the ball. Turnovers will be the critical factor. They're always a factor, but it's more of a critical factor with the Packers, particularly Jordan Love.
And Love protects the ball. I actually like Green Bay to cover this game. Yeah. If he does not, then this probably is Philadelphia by somewhere in that 10 pocket. Mm-hmm. But see, this is of the 6 matchups, this is the best game of the weekend. And look, either Philly wins and gets a matchup where they probably will be a bigger favorite against anyone they play next week, except for Minnesota, if the Vikings look good on Monday night. And then Green Bay would get a trip to Detroit for a third crack at the Lions, where the last time those teams played, field goal at the gun was the difference in the ball game. Yeah. So regardless.
I'll tell you another guy, too, hasn't been mentioned, Josh Jacobs.
Yeah, been great this year.
If he can run if they can run the ball. Now, he's not as good as Barkley, but God knows, anybody can have a good game or a bad game. But if he could be effective on the ground, I think that opens up a lot. By the way, I went to 5 quickly because I was worried about Love.
Yeah.
Early in the week, I'm talking about. Then we went. Then we found out Hurts was in the concussion protocol. I went to 4. They laid that. So right now, I got a lot of money, really both ways. A lot of money on the money line on the Eagles. So we'll see where that's going to happen. But point spread wise, I'm in pretty decent shape, and I think Green Bay does have a hell of a chance here.
Let's go to Sunday night. This is a fascinating game between 2 teams. I'm not sure if they're capable of making it to the Super Bowl, but it might produce a very fun game on Sunday night.
Oh, I think it will. Yeah.
Buccaneers hosting the Commanders. You guys are marking low in a total at 49.5. You guys are at 3.
But it is the highest total of the weekend.
I know.
We got bet.
I think I'm going Barry Phillips style on this one, Chris. But you small toggle, 3.5, 3.
That's not that small, trust me.
Oh, no, I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. Only toggled once, not like the Charger game that toggled.
Give it time.
It's early.
It's early. This is also the game that everyone bets because it's the get right or gravy game, right, Vinny?
Yeah. Thank you.
No problem. I'll just be quick. I like the dog outright. I think the Tampa defense is the weakest of the 4 units in this game, and I think Washington's offense will be able to take advantage of that.
I've always kind of rooted for Baker Mayfield, and I don't know why. I just always kind of liked them, but I'm kind of with you, Jeff. My numbers came to 2.5, which doesn't seem like that much, but 2.5 to 3.5 is pretty big. I think if I was out there playing, I'd be looking to take the 3.5 on a game like this. And we're at 3 right now, and there's, I think, 3 juiced. I'd probably take even money rather than taking the 3.5 myself. That's my own personal preference. Other guys might have different opinions, but I think I would take Washington and try to get the best number I could there.
Rematch of the first game of the season.
Yeah, right.
A lot of rematches week 1 here.
Two
that
very
previous
different,
game was too.
2 very different teams, obviously. Look, Bucs veteran team here against rookie quarterback and a younger team. 2 very good coaches that have done a good job this year. So, but both defenses have shown. It's interesting. Both these teams defensively, they've shown that they can give up points, and offensively, they'll put up. They can play in a high-scoring game, so it should be pretty entertaining. This number will definitely be impacted by what happens starting. It started last night and tonight, but definitely this is the 5th game of the NFL schedule, and it's the primetime game, which everybody will be involved with, as you mentioned, Jeff, and that'll impact the number, especially the money line for sure.
This is going to be a fun game. Like I said, I don't think either of these teams are capable of winning 3 games and making it to the Super Bowl, but at least for one night, you get a really fun game here.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, if you think so, I got some nice prices.
Oh, I know you do.
I mean, I'm running right now. I'm running Tampa, I think 45-1, which is like way the market high. I think Circa's like 25.
Yeah.
But I really do well with Tampa if they can't get to the Super Bowl, at least at this point. But we're booking. There's a lot of money still going to be coming in.
I mean, if you want the reverse of the Super Bowl where Tampa beat Kansas City but flip it on its head with the Chiefs beating the Bucs, you get 40-1. That's a pretty good price on that, to say the very least.
Yeah.
All right, last game on the board before we get out of here today. Of course, we discussed it earlier. The Rams, the Vikings, the Rams, of course, are the home team, but this game now being played in Glendale, Arizona because of the wildfires in the Los Angeles area. As you said earlier, Chris, because of the venue change, if you bet it here at one of the other properties up at the Rampart or up in Mesquite, at Casablanca or Virgin River, you got to come back in and rebet it with the guys. Vikings now on a neutral, 2.5-point favorites with a total of 48 in this game.
Tough one.
Very.
Tough one. Once again, gun to my head, I'd probably play Minnesota. But boy, this is a tough game. I think you got 2 very good young coaches. You got Matthew Stafford, who I think the world of on one side, and Sam Darnold. He's had a hell of a year, and he played poorly last week. But again, he was inside the 10 numerous times and came away with virtually nothing. Is that going to happen again? I don't think so. That's an aberration there too. So I think that offense probably not quite as bad as what you would look at in a final score from last week. But this is a really, really tough game. I don't have a strong opinion here, but we'll see what happens. There's going to be a lot of stuff going into this game from all weekend, and whoever I need. But this is a tough game for me.
By the way, most people know this too, but when in multi-leg wagers with the first betting number before the game got moved, it reduces down.
Right. If you bet early.
Yep.
If you bet the first matchup. So if you had a 3-teamer involving either of these teams or the total, it goes down to a 2-teamer. Another game. Last time they met, a little controversy, right? With the non-call of the face mask in the end zone.
Oh, right. I forgot about that.
With the Vikings. So, but look, Monday night game, and but the question is for me is how do the Vikings, in particular Sam Darnold, how does he respond off of that last game against the Lions? And we know the Rams are rested because of what how they rested their players in that last game, right? So they're certainly going to be fresh. 2 coaches that are familiar with each other and respect each other quite well. So, this one here, and certainly the venue change definitely helps the Vikings. But again, the best of all the folks in Southern Cal.
I'm gonna wait. I want to see where this market goes now that we're on a neutral. I don't know. Rams seem classic teaser position from 2.5 to 8.5.
Yeah.
To say the very least. There.
Yeah, I sure do.
All right. Before we get out of here, Chris, any official plays for this weekend? Are we just saying let it go and see where we go?
I think I'd like to give one play. If I had to give a play, I would take Buffalo.
Mini Dar, it wasn't me. I didn't do it. That's Chris's play. Bills, Chris, even though you're at 9, I'm going to give you 8.5. There's more than enough.
You can give me 9. Give me 9.
Okay, we'll make it harder. We'll make it a Nicotero. We'll make it the harder.
I mean, I think if you followed my play, you'd be a slight winner for the year.
You would be, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Would you have the exact number?
I need to do my math, but the last count, you were ahead by about 5 units.
Yeah. Okay. So you're not. I mean, listen. If you money, winning in this racket is hard, and as a bookmaker, this was the hardest year for us.
I went through the favorites.
All the favorites.
Last 2 months.
Man. Yeah. Brutal.
Good luck.
All right, that's what we got for you. Vinny, Chris, thank you as always. Jerry, Vince, Ryan, and Sean, wherever you are. Feel better, by the way, to our friend Sean. Caden as well. I'm Jeff Parles. We're back tomorrow on this channel at 8 a.m. Myself, Alex White, who's fresh off a second-place finish in the Matt Human's Invitational. Job well done by Alex.
Good for her.
To say the very least.
Good for
We'll have her official plays, my plays tomorrow, and also our friend Lou Finicaro tomorrow morning.
Oh, Lou Finicaro's in
town, no less.
good for him.
UFC and NFL for Sweet Lou tomorrow at 8:30 in the morning. We'll see you then. Sports by the Book. This has been Football Frenzy.